Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing the 2001 film 13 Ghosts as suggested by these lovely subscribers here. So starting off, we're in a junkyard where we meet Cyrus Criticos, and he is a bad bitch. He's not really a bad bitch, he just has a cane and is wearing a suit, and so for me, for fictional characters, that just equates to opulence, thus being a bad bitch. But his overall vibe is a villain. You can tell by his car, you can tell by his name, Cyrus Criticos. That is not the name of somebody who is a pillar of the fucking community, okay? At least not in fictional scenarios. So Cyrus is in a junkyard, he has a team of people, and he's also accompanied by a psychic medium by the name of Dennis Rafkin. So it seems that Dennis is not having a good time. Anytime that his powers are activated, he is in serious pain. And as soon as they pull up to the function, Dennis is telling Cyrus that they need to get the fuck out of there. He touches the ground and he's able to see that the ghost has victims. The ghost has killed people before and after his death. So while they're getting everything set up to capture the ghost, Cyrus's team finds two ghost activists by the name of Kina and Damon. And it seems that Cyrus is the Ash Ketchum of ghosts, and they don't fuck with that. Like I said, they're ghost activists, so they want all the ghosts to be free and not captured. Damon says something to Cyrus on the lines of, "You're never gonna be able to pull this off. You need the right spells. You need a 13th ghost." And this means absolutely nothing to us, but we will get more context on that as the movie progresses. Because, you know, now we're starting to develop questions like, what the fuck, a 13th ghost? What spells? Dennis hears Damon's bit about the 13th ghost, and so now he has questions, and he's going to Cyrus and he's like, what the fuck? You said we're only gonna be catching 12 ghosts. I didn't agree to that. After tonight, I'm done. And clearly Dennis has received some false information. Okay, the name of the movie is 13 Ghosts, not 12 Ghosts, so I can only assume there's facts missing for him. Cyrus brushes Dennis off completely and he continues on with the hunt, and he's like, okay, bring out the bait. And this truck comes through and it's spraying blood everywhere. And I'm like, this has got to be a specific ass ghost that would see that and go, ooh yeah, because if I was a ghost in a junkyard and I seen that there was a truck spraying blood everywhere, I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. I'd be fucking terrified. Cyrus is also playing an audio recording of spells. I have no clue what the spell is saying, but I do know that it's working. The ghost comes through, he pulls up on the scene and he's beating everybody's ass. I mean, the team left to right is just getting killed. And just with the carnage alone, I said, you know what, that was a good call with the blood truck. This definitely seems like the type of ghost that would be into that shit. So eventually they're able to contain the ghost in a glass box, and it's not just any glass box. It's like connected up to some hardware. There's like symbols and spells written on the box. So once the ghost has been captured, Dennis, through his early 2000 pop star headset, is telling Cyrus like, okay, we've done it. We've got the 12 ghosts. Cyrus is not responding, so Dennis starts walking around and he runs into Kina and Damon is dead. There was a ghost beating everybody's ass. He seemed to be one of the casualties along with Cyrus Criticos. And I said, damn it, maybe he's not the bad bitch I thought he was. It's like, we're only 10 minutes in the movie and bitch, I thought you were gonna be the main villain. So it's sometime later and we meet the Criticos family. The Criticos family consists of Jean, Arthur, and their kids, Kathy and Bobby. And they seem to be a really happy family until their house caught on fire, causing Jean's untimely death. And let me tell you something, one thing about Tony Shalhoub's fictional wife, she's gonna die tragically. First we had Trudy Monk and now we got Jean Criticos. After Jean's death, the family fell on hard times. The family has had to downsize. It seems that they have a lot of past due bills. And it just seems like the family lost a lot and somehow acquired a live-in nanny, Maggie. And Maggie is not giving nanny vibes at all. Just based on how she interacts with Kathy and Bobby, she seems more like a sibling or like a cool auntie or some shit. How the fuck are they affording a live-in nanny? I said, okay then, Arthur. It seems that the family is having a typical morning. Arthur is getting ready to go off to school. He's a school teacher. Kathy is cooking the family breakfast. Maggie seems to be halfway through of unrolling what looks to be a pretty solid silk press. But then the family is visited by Ben Moss, who is Cyrus's lawyer. And we find out that Cyrus was actually Arthur's estranged uncle. The Criticos family doesn't fuck with him because he blew the family's fortune. Ben presents the family of a pre-recording of Cyrus, and Cyrus is telling Arthur that he's inherited his home. And y'all, please look at this fucking key. Looks like a key for the House of Dragons. Looks like a boss key for Legends of Zelda or some shit. So the video has like images of the house. Everybody's getting really excited about this because like I said, they lost their house and since then they've had to downsize. So the family finding out that they could potentially be getting a new house is very exciting for them. Ben tells Arthur and the family that he can show them the house that day, given that it's only a couple hours away. Ben kind of cautions them and is like, yeah, Cyrus really liked his privacy, so there are no neighbors for miles. And I have mixed feelings about that. I'm lying, I don't have mixed feelings about that. that feels troublesome to me. Granted, I don't have like a super close relationship with any of my neighbors, but I also wouldn't want to be that far from people. If you think about like every scary movie ever, it's always a house that's off yonder that's getting fucked with. So Arthur and the family are in one car following behind Ben to go to the house. The family is really excited, and Ben in this particular lighting looks like a fucking villain. They arrive at the house and it's now nighttime, and first impression of the house, just at a quick glance, fucking no. And I see why now. The nearest neighbor from the house is miles away. It's transparent and there's Latin written on all the windows / walls. When the family initially sees the house, they're still really excited about it. And you know, to each their own. I love that for them. They like it. I love it. But it's not long after they've arrived that they realize that they're not alone. There's an electrician there that's not actually an electrician. It's Dennis in a disguise. And he's obviously there to get access to the house. We don't know why exactly, but he's there. Arthur unlocks the door with the mystical ass key, and the key lock it sucks it in. And immediately the house comes to life, the lights cut on, there's literal gears shifting, the door opens and everybody walks in. I would have been outside for a whole 45 minutes trying to retrieve the goddamn mystical ass key from the mystical ass keyhole. So everyone is inside, and I think the family is now realizing like, oh shit, this house is like transparent as fuck. You can see right through this bitch. Immediately we would have considered selling it and then buying a house that's like, you know, more our speed, that feels more like it's for a family. This looks like a house for somebody who's into voyeurism, which to each their own. I don't fucking judge, but I just know that there's a voyeur that seen this house and said, yeah, I'm gonna make this house a home. So Arthur goes into the office with Ben to sign paperwork so they are able to get the house. Maggie, Kathy, and Bobby go to explore the house, despite Arthur telling them to keep their ass in one room. Meanwhile, Dennis is in the basement, and it seems that he's looking for money that Cyrus owed him. He sees that there's like plugs and wires and shit, and immediately Dennis is like, oh fuck, Cyrus was doing some bullshit down here. And while he's in the basement, he's getting different visions of different spirits. And like I said, anytime his supernatural powers are activated, he seems to be in a lot of fucking pain. So he's hurting. Dennis puts on these glasses, and the glasses allow the wearer to see ghost glasses, ghost goggles. He puts these glasses on, and the whole basement is full of fucking ghosts. They all seem to be like contained, like they're like basically in like little ghost cells. So Dennis runs upstairs into the office with Ben and Arthur and is frantically spilling the beans on who he is and why he's there. And he explains to Arthur that he used to hunt ghosts with his uncle, you know, Cyrus. And Dennis is telling Arthur like, okay, you need to get your family and leave. And it seems that Arthur is not convinced, and it doesn't help either that although Ben doesn't recognize Dennis, he recognizes his name and is like, oh, this dude has been harassing my office all week. He just wants money. Like, don't listen to him. So Dennis has like an attack of sorts. Like, he falls over, and it's like I said, like anytime his supernatural powers are activated, he's just not in good shape. Arthur reaches down to help Dennis, and Dennis can see like his whole fucking life. He can see everything that went down with Jean. All the while, Ben has made his way down to the basement. He puts on his little ghost goggles. He sees all the ghosts in the basement and doesn't bat a fucking eye. So he seems to be aware of what Cyrus had going on down there. He's taunting the ghosts and shit, which 10 out of 10 don't recommend. Like, that seems like a very stupid thing to do. So he gets to the room, and I'd like to describe this room as the core of the house. There's like this massive gear machine thing in the middle. Ben retrieves a suitcase full of money, and it seems that the suitcase was resting on like little pedals. Once he removes the suitcase, gears start shifting. It seems that the core has been activated. Walls and shit start moving all throughout the house. Outside, like the little windows are shifting and shit. And one of the ghosts, Dana, has been released. And Dana is not a part of the itty bitty titty committee. That's all I'll say. I can't show it. I won't show it. But Christ. So Dana, bless her heart, butterball ass naked, is walking towards Ben with a knife. Ben is backing away from her and gets sliced in half by one of the moving walls. And he doesn't get sliced in half this way. He gets sliced like this way. So upstairs, Arthur and Dennis are trying to find Maggie and the kids, and Dennis has done a wardrobe change. This bothers me on a number of levels. Like, you're in an urgent, high stress situation. You're literally over here having seizures from your supernatural capabilities, and you thought, let me go change. Let me put on a little suit real quick. And I'm like, when did you have time to do this? I suppose it could have been underneath his little orange jumpsuit. Like, I'll give him that. And I feel like if I were in a situation where I'm like, okay, I know I'm gonna have to be jucking and driving in this bitch, and if I come through to the function and I'm wearing like heels and a dress or something, yeah, I'm gonna do a wardrobe change into some athleisure, sure. But he's done the opposite. He's wearing a suit. And I don't know why, but I have this hypothetical in my head that me and Dennis are partners, not like life partners, but we're like partners in ghost hunting shit. And he's like, okay, bet, we're gonna put on these ugly ass orange jumpsuits and then we're gonna go in this house, blah, 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 blah. And then he doesn't tell me to bring a cute change of clothes. And now I'm looking ugly as shit in an orange fucking jumpsuit and a hard hat while he's in his cool snazzy outfit. That's the real reason. That's what truly pisses me off. Like, just something about that just irks the fuck out of me. Because this almost sounds like something that I would do, because if I'm not in the right outfit, then my heart isn't in it. You know what I mean? But then I would decide against it and be like, no, Malli, that's not appropriate to do that, to bring an outfit, a change of clothes, a new fit to the function when you're there on business. Anyways, Arthur and Dennis split up to try to find the family. Kathy is upstairs in the bathroom, and we do see that the bathroom has like that, it's like a different type of glass where you won't see through it. Like, you might be able to see like a little sexy silhouette, but you won't see anybody butterball ass naked, like super transparent. The bathroom looks really nice, like it looks really clean, but we, the audience, can see the perspective of the bathroom through the ghost goggles, and it's literally covered in blood. And we also see that Dana, with her big, huge, ginormous heart, is in the bathroom with Kathy. So Dana moves the shower curtain, which I'm like, how the fuck did Kathy not see that shit? Like, it's like, you don't need the ghost goggles to be able to see that shit is moving around you. But nonetheless, Dana gets in the tub. She's sitting in the bathtub. And then Kathy goes to the bathtub and she's running the water, and Dana's just looking at her like, bitch, what the fuck? Kathy is having a whole Neutrogena commercial moment. She's like splashing water in her face, smiling and shit. And I'm like, girl, you couldn't have done that at the sink. You're over here interrupting Dana's bath time. And Dana is like kind of just watching her until the water running starts to turn to blood. Then Dana gets her knife, and I don't know why Dana is triggered by this, but she gets her knife and she's like, bitch, what? Like, are you really finna bathe in my blood right in fucking front of me? That's the vibe I got. I'm not sure why Dana, you know, activated or got triggered by that, but she did. And just as Dana is about to stab Kathy, Arthur busts into the room. And just as Arthur is asking Kathy where Bobby is, Maggie walks up and she's like, oh, I lost him. I said, this lady is not a fucking nanny. And I suppose they all thought that they were safe in this house and they had no clue that all this extra shit was gonna be popping off, but damn. So Arthur is rushing Maggie and Kathy to the entrance of the house to get them out. He's like, y'all get the fuck out. I'm gonna go find Bobby. And Kathy is asking way too many fucking questions for the situation. And I totally get it. You wanna know what's going on. But if somebody tells you to get the fuck outside, bitch, you go the fuck outside. Somebody tells you to leave the function, you leave the fucking function. Like I said, the core of the house is activated, so doors have shifted. The front door is no longer accessible. They're trapped in the fucking house. Arthur at one point gets a chair to break the glass. The chair breaks against the glass. Dennis confirms that they're trapped in the house, and Kathy sees him and is like, where did your orange jumpsuit go? And I said, there you go, girl. Now you're asking the right questions. Yes, there's other shit going on. There's bigger things going on, but why is he no longer in his orange jumpsuit? And then Maggie notices that Ben is missing, and she's like, did the lawyer split? Get it? Because he split. But anyways, as a group, they leave to go find Bobby. Bobby is having the time of his life. He has his scooter. He has what he doesn't know is ghost goggles. And he comes across the basement. And a woman's voice is trying to lure him down. And the woman's voice is like, come down here, come play. And then there's another woman's voice and is telling Bobby, like, don't listen to that bitch. Don't come down here, stay up there. And Bobby literally thinks that it's Maggie and Kathy fucking around, and so he goes down into the basement. The core is activated once again, the gears start shifting, doors start moving around, and another ghost is released. And poor Bobby, he sees a spirit and he tries to roll off on his scooter. He ends up falling. He gets up again. There's spirits all over the place. He starts running and then he falls again. And running with the intention of escaping and constantly falling, I resonate with that. That's my bag right there. That's what the fuck I do. I'm a runner and a faller. I feel like adrenaline doesn't work in my favor at all. I've seen people in like high stress situations, their adrenaline allows them to like fucking lift cars and shit. Mine's is a shutdown adrenaline. It says, whoa, easy girl. Go on ahead and fall on that ground and take a rest. Go ahead and take a minute and regroup and then try that shit again. So meanwhile, upstairs, the group is looking for Bobby. They're yelling his name. They're trying to call out to him. And this prompts Dennis to explain a little bit about the glass in the house. He's saying that Bobby won't hear them because the glass is soundproof and it's shatterproof. And he explains that the writing on the walls are containment spells to keep spirits at bay. He's saying that written or spoken, the spirits have to abide by the spells. As soon as Dennis mentions ghosts, everybody's rolling their eyes. At some point, Arthur scoffs. He does a huh. They don't fucking believe him. They don't believe that there's ghosts in the fucking house, which is not great. And I'm shocked that they don't even believe him a little bit, because they have ghost goggles themselves. And granted, they may not be able to see ghosts because they're all in the basement. Maggie has a pair of ghost goggles on, and some of the spells are literally glowing. And I'm like, what kind of glasses make shit glow like that? In 2001, you know, this day and age, there's fucking goggles that put you in a whole fucking virtual universe and shit. So that's possible in that context. But in the context of it being 2001, bitch, and you have regular glasses on and words are glowing when you put said glasses on, like, you don't believe that there's any sort of ghost involved. So Arthur goes to go down in the basement. Dennis is like, fuck no, we're not going down there. There's ghosts down there. And Arthur is like, yeah, but you said that they're all locked up. Mind you, not all of them are locked up at this point. Like I said, the gears are removing and so are the ghosts. So Arthur tells Dennis, come into this basement, help me find my son, and I'll give you the money that Cyrus owed you. And Dennis agrees. I was like, bitch, no, you didn't even believe me when I said there were ghosts here. You just laughed at me and made fun of me. Meanwhile, Bobby is downstairs. He hears a woman whispering to him, and the woman is telling him to put the glasses back on and for him to go upstairs. He puts the glasses on, and guess who's there? It's fucking Jean. I said, Ariana, what the fuck are you doing here? So Bobby's trying to make his way to the stairs, and Jean is telling him to watch out. We see Cyrus for all of a moment, and then Bobby is scooped up. So Maggie, Kathy, Dennis, and Arthur are in the basement. Here goes Arthur's ass, and he's like, it's too big down here. We need to split up. I said, hold up, Fred. This is not the fucking Mystery Gang. Yes, we got Shaggy here, and yes, this is the big ass basement, but now is not the time to split up. There's never a time to split up. The time to split up is if you're rolling deep. Like, it's like, okay, we're splitting up into two groups, and both groups have 40 fucking people with them. Then it's like, yeah, sure, then we can afford to split up. But I'm like, it's 4 of y'all right now. Why would you do something like that? But nonetheless, they split up. Arthur and Kathy go one way, and Maggie and Dennis go the other way. The gears start shifting again, and as Dennis and Maggie are walking, Dennis is noticing that the doors to the little ghost cells are open, and he sees that some of the ghosts are no longer contained. Some of the spirits are no longer contained, but there are still some that are. And so Dennis gives Maggie his little ghost goggles so she can see one of the contained spirits, and she's like, oh shit, it's fucking real. And Dennis is explaining to her, he's like, there's ghosts all around us all the time, we just don't see them. And he said that most of them are super chill, and then every blue moon there's one, like the one that they're currently looking at, that's very violent. They continue walking down the hall. Dennis is flipping off one of the spirits, and then he has a premonition of his death. I said, damn. But he brushes it off. He continues walking to the basement with Maggie and sees that one of the ghost cells is open and empty, and he sees a symbol, and he says, oh fuck, this is a symbol of the jackal, and if the jackal is loose, we need to forget the fucking kid and we need to get the fuck out of here. And speak of the devil, the jackal attacks Kathy, a second after she put her glasses on. She put her ghost goggles on, and the jackal appeared right in front of her. So Kathy can see the ghost, but Arthur cannot. And it's very clear, even without the ghost goggles, Kathy is being injured. So Arthur is like trying to pull her, and suddenly Kina pops up, and she helps Arthur drag Kathy away from the jackal. And they're just dragging her all through the floor of this basement. Kina has pulled up to the function. She has her little flare sticks, and she leads Arthur and Kathy to safety behind one of the walls that has a containment spell so the jackal can't get to them. So Arthur, of course, has a bunch of questions because we have an idea of who Kina is, but he has no fucking clue who she is or why she's there. And Kina explains that she's a ghost activist and she's there to release all the ghosts that Cyrus captured. Arthur's still not really believing or understanding even after what he's seen with Kathy and the jackal. Kina tells Kathy, like, give him your glasses so he can see. He puts the glasses on, he can see the jackal. And so now everybody's up to speed. Everybody's aware now that there are ghosts in this house. Even so, Arthur brushed past the fact that they're surrounded by ghosts, and he's asking Kina how she got in hopes of escaping the same way. Kina basically tells Arthur that it's not possible for them to escape, and the way that she got in, there's no way of them being able to get out. Kina pulls out a book written by an astrologer by the name of Basilius, who wrote the book under demonic possession. She says it's designed by the devil and powered by the dead. And it seems that Cyrus has built this machine, aka the house. That's why the house has that weird ass thing in the core, okay? It has like all sorts of gears and shit, and there's spells written on the walls and shit. And we'll eventually get more specific details about the book and how it applies to their current situation. But Arthur is completely uninterested at this time, and he's just ready to leave. He looks over to Kathy. Kathy has completely disappeared. So Kina tells Arthur that they need to go upstairs to the library because it's the only room in the house that's like completely protected by spells. But they seem to be trapped in the basement because the stairs were blocked off in the last shift. Dennis and Maggie were also impacted by the shift. At some point they get separated and Dennis is trapped in a room with a spirit who's trying to beat his ass, but luckily he's able to escape and him and Maggie are roaming the halls again and eventually run into another pair of spirits. And they run away and end up crossing paths with Kina and Arthur, who are coming up through the basement ceiling. And as soon as Dennis sees Kina is on sight, they already are looking at each other like, I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you. It's not good vibes. And they're able to pull Arthur up from the basement just in enough time because one of the spirits was hot on his ass. So as Kina is leading the group to the library with her little map, Dennis is like ridiculing Arthur for losing his family in a glass house, which is some funny ass shit. It's not funny in the moment, I'm sure, but it's like, damn, how does that happen? Like, all you gotta do is look straight this way, straight this way, straight that way, and you're destined to see who you're looking for. And poor Arthur cannot catch a break. He ends up getting attacked by the jackal, but luckily the group is able to help him and they're able to seek refuge in the library. And they're not in the library for very long before Dennis and Kina start arguing. Kina is pissed. She was like, this is all your fault. You did this for money. And Dennis is like, no, it wasn't like that. Cyrus was actually his friend and he didn't make him feel weird about his supernatural capabilities. Kina is just letting Dennis have it and Arthur is telling Kina like, hey, ease up on him. Kina's like, oh, he doesn't know about the fourth ghost, does he? And Dennis is like, oh no, like, don't tell him. The fourth ghost is fucking Jean, his wife. So of course Arthur gets active and punches Dennis, and Dennis is explaining that he didn't know his wife, he didn't know him at the time, and he explains that Cyrus handpicked all of the ghosts. Kina assures Arthur that he can save his kids and his wife and explains how the machine works. So there's 12 ghosts in the Black Zodiac: the firstborn son, the torso, the bound woman, the withered lover, aka Jean, the torn prince, the angry princess, the pilgrims, the great child and dire mother, the hammer, the jackal, and the juggernaut. Kina explains that once a machine is activated, which we already know it's activated on account of Ben moving the suitcase of money, each ghost is released one by one and drawn to the center of the house. And their ghostly energy is what is powering the machine. And once all ghosts are at the center, it opens the eye of hell. The eye is all-knowing, it knows the past, it knows the future, and whoever controls the eye of hell becomes the most powerful person on earth. Kina says that so far 11 ghosts have been released. So they have one more before shit really starts popping off. So Dennis is asking Kina, okay, what about the 13th ghost? Because he remembers Damon in the junkyard telling Cyrus about it, but he doesn't know how it applies to the situation. And Kina explains that the 13th ghost is actually a failsafe intended to shut down the process in case something goes wrong. And come to find out, the 13th ghost is not even a ghost yet. It has to be a willing human sacrifice. A sacrifice of broken heart and true love. And whoever that is, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's Arthur, would need to jump into the eye. And Kina explains that this would cause the machine to short circuit. And everybody concludes that this would be Arthur. Maggie is not here for that at all. She's like, no, what the fuck? We're not doing that. And Kina is like, there's no other way for him to be able to save his children. He has to trade his life for theirs. Dennis isn't really vibing with this either. He's like, this doesn't make sense. There has to be another way. And he's encouraging Arthur to at least try and find the kids while there's still time. Because like I said, there's one ghost left that needs to be released. So Dennis and Arthur grab a piece of glass that has a protection spell and they're basically walking throughout the house trying to find the kids. Meanwhile, Kina and Maggie go to the core of the house. Kina has a bunch of explosives, so they're going to try to destroy like the core, the machine. We see a man walking in and he has a cane. I said, oh shit, I'd recognize that cane anywhere. That's fucking Cyrus. And this is not like a huge surprise. We seen Cyrus earlier in the house before Bobby got snatched up. So Maggie is trying to get Kina's attention and she's like, oh my gosh, there's another ghost in here. And this is right up Kina's alley. So Kina grabs Basilius's book and hits Maggie upside the head, rendering her unconscious. So right around there, my jaw dropped a little bit. I said, oh wow. Kina, what the fuck? And then Kina is face to face with Cyrus, takes off her ghost goggles, smiles, and then kisses Cyrus. At that point, my jaw was fully like just to the fucking floor because what the fuck is going on here on this day? So I'm like, first of all, Cyrus is alive. He's not a fucking ghost, huh? And then I'm like, Kina is kissing him. She's supposed to be this ghost activist. She's supposed to like not be fucking with him at all. What? Like, this is a lot. So Kina and Cyrus are kissing for all of a moment before he snatches Basilius's book from her and shoves her. So Cyrus is very clearly pissed and Kina is like, why are you mad? I did everything you asked me to do. She said, I killed Damon and stole his spells. I kept your nephew alive so you can use him for the final phase. I said, damn. Then Cyrus asked Kina, he's like, where are the spells? And she hands them to him. She's like, they're right here. And she's like, you're not mad at me, right? And he's like, oh no, we're cool. Huh? And here I thought Cyrus was a bad bitch and Kalina was like Laura Croft or something. Cyrus shoving Kalina was already fucked up enough, but I cannot fucking stand somebody that pops off before even attempting to get more information. Because if he was like, where are the spells? Like, he could have started off there, but he went straight to, I'm gonna shove you. What? Why was that necessary? And I think it's really ironic that Kalina was upstairs in the library calling Dennis pathetic for thinking that him and Cyrus were friends. Girl, be serious right now. So Dennis and Arthur are walking around with their little glass wall, and Dennis is having visions of the hammer. And then the hammer appears. Dennis grabs the glass with the containment spell and shoves Arthur in the corner and basically guards him, sacrificing himself. And the hammer is getting some licks in, but overall, Dennis is looking fine. Like, he's handling his own. And then the 12th ghost is released, the Juggernaut, and he kills Dennis. And the whole time Arthur is safe behind the glass, which is like kind of crazy to me. I'm like, damn, y'all couldn't like tap out, switch out a little bit. You see your man is out here getting his ass beat. You had health points to sacrifice. He could have gave our guy a little breather. And so because the final ghost has been released, Cyrus is now ready to move on to the next step. And that's gathering the souls to the eye. And he basically summons them with an audio of a spell. When we all know Arthur is supposed to be the 13th ghost or the 13th soul, Kalina explains to Cyrus that Arthur believes that his sacrifice will save his kids. However, he may not be convinced that his kids are actually in danger. And then Cyrus goes, well, put them in danger. And Kalina has like a moment of almost doing the right thing. She's like, but they're kids. But Cyrus shuts that down. He's like, greatness requires sacrifice. And Kalina agrees. So while Cyrus continues summoning the ghosts, Kalina puts the kids in danger. We don't know what that looks like at this moment, but she's done it. And then Cyrus traps Kalina and kills her. Like, he traps her in like a small little room. The wall like closes in and it squishes her. It's like a little glass Kalina sandwich, a Kalina panini. So Arthur is still behind the glass up against the wall and he just looks defeated. Jean walks up to him and he sees her and he's telling her, I miss you. I loved you. If I was Jean, I would have been like, loved? Past tense? Who the fuck is Maggie? But before Jean and Arthur's interaction can continue any further, Jean disappears because she's being summoned to the center of the machine. So Arthur sees that the kids are trapped in the center of the eye, and the best way to describe it, it's like circular blades that are like crossing through each other and moving around and shit. So it's like they're trapped there. Like if they try to move, they're gonna get sliced and diced up. Arthur puts on his glasses and sees that all the ghosts are surrounding the eye and the kids. He looks over his shoulder and Cyrus is just standing there staring at him. Arthur looks back at the ghosts and he's counting them down. He's like, okay, they're all there. He's kind of piecing everything together and he's like, oh shit. He looks over back at Cyrus, takes his glasses off, realizes that he's not a ghost, and he goes and beats his ass because clearly this was a setup. Almost immediately, Cyrus gets the upper hand. Arthur is on the ground and Cyrus is just being mean for no reason. He literally calls Arthur a loser and I'm like, what the fuck? And apparently his cane doubles as a sword, which is a little iconic. It's kind of iconic. We don't like Cyrus, fuck him, but like a sword cane, come on. Cyrus pins his little sword cane on Arthur and he's like, you have no choice. Like, you're not getting out of this. You have to sacrifice yourself. And suddenly we no longer hear the audio of the spells. We hear so I said, oh, hell yeah. I'm over here waiting for the beat to drop. I was like, they're about to dance fight. They don't dance fight. It's Maggie, and she's just trying to shut down the spells. She does so successfully. All the ghosts leave the center of the machine, and they grab Cyrus and throw him into the eye. Like I said, those circular blades are doing what they're doing, so he gets chopped up immediately. So then we get to see Dennis again, but of course, you know, he's a ghost, and he's giving Arthur words of encouragement. He said, it's not over. He's like, you still have the power in you. I was like, what power? You heard Cyrus. He's a fucking loser, a basic bitch. And Dennis tells Arthur, he's like, it's not over. You can finish this. Go be with your kids. So the core explodes. There's glass and gears and just debris everywhere. Arthur does a run jump into the center of the eye and basically holds and shields the kids. And I should add context, the circular blades at this time were like stopping and going. And that's when Arthur jumped and ran in. He didn't like fucking Doctor Strange that shit and run through while it was moving continuously. No. So all the ghosts have been set free. And you know, I just don't think that all of the ghosts should have been set free. The Juggernaut was doing a lot. The Hammer seemed to be doing a lot. The Jackal sure as fuck was doing a lot. I feel like some of them needed to remain in containment. That's all I'm saying. Inside the house, Arthur is embracing the kids. Everything has kind of simmered down at this point. And we see one of the 12 ghosts is still there. It's Jean. And she looks a lot better. And she's able to tell the family that she loves them before she disappears. And she doesn't like verbally tell them, Like she kind of like Dragon Ball Z that shit, where it's like we all hear her voice, but her mouth isn't moving. And the movie concludes with Maggie going on a tangent talking about she's gonna quit. And I get that that was probably supposed to be for comedic purposes, but that is a very valid crash out. I really love that the family got to see Jean one last time, and I'm glad that they were able to see her peaceful and happy. I do kind of feel like Arthur jumping into the center of the eye to be with his kids was a little unnecessary. And truth be told, I think Ghost Dennis's little pep talk confused me a little bit because he's like, it's not finished. And I'm like, it seems finished. The ghosts have left the circle. The machine is broken. And I suppose it was good for Arthur to go in the middle so he can maybe protect the kids from all the debris that was flying around. And maybe he meant like, it's not over. Maybe he was talking about like the grand scheme of things. Like he was like, your life isn't over, you know, go be with your kids. Maybe he meant it in a more like elaborate way. And I feel like Dennis being a ghost was good for him. I'm not saying it's good that he died and that he died the way that he did, but he just seemed like so much happier and so much chill. As a human with the supernatural capabilities, he was constantly in pain and shit, seeing visions and shit that he didn't really want to fucking see in the first place. And like as a ghost, he's like, oh, like, let me just be a life coach now. Like he's not bound by the burden of his supernatural capabilities. And Cyrus setting up his own flesh and blood was fucking crazy. Arthur and his family seemed to be like a genuinely happy family. And I suspect that Cyrus was the one who started the fire or had some sort of involvement of the fire getting started, because I just feel like he would do that shit. And damn, like at the beginning, I thought he was gonna be like a bad bitch villain. It's like that moment when a villain is giving the big speech and you're listening to what they're saying and they're like, damn, they're not 100% wrong. They're radical as fuck about what they're talking about, but they're not 100% wrong. The villain's words, like their goals are rooted in their loss in faith and in humanity. But Cyrus's was just greed and power. Ooh. I'm over here looking at Cyrus and I'm like, oh my God, why does he look so familiar? He's the pervy grandpa from season 2 of White Lotus. And what I really need to know is how Cyrus and Kina got together. Cause I'm like, was Kina already with Cyrus and then infiltrated and got with Damon so she could get the spells? Or was she legitimately like a ghost activist and then met Cyrus and was like, yeah, that's bae? It is very clear to me that Cyrus was making everybody feel special, because you see Dennis was also feeling some type of way about Cyrus, not like in a romantic way, but he genuinely felt that Cyrus was his friend. What I would have loved is like a backstory of each ghost. Like I feel like they could have even done a prequel where we see Cyrus and Dennis catching the ghost and shit, and with each ghost that they catch we get like their backstory. And I was particularly interested in Dana's backstory, or the angry princess. When Dana was in the bathroom with Kathy, we kept hearing whispering and it's like a voice saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. On the floor written in blood it said, I'm sorry. I'm like, what is she sorry for? What the fuck went down before she got here? But yes, that's all that I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and I hope if you inherit a house it's not made of glass, and hopefully it doesn't have ghosts either. And if it is made of glass, hopefully, I don't know, you're into that shit. Okay, bye!